Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Frank.
And I'm Michael.
And today's episode is episode number 88, and we're talking about new things coming to cruising in 2025. Let's jump into it.
All right, well, we're back. Another week here, Frank. A snowy day here in Charlotte.
I know.
You know, we haven't had snow here in years, and that's the third time already this year we've gotten some.
Not much. It's not much to talk about. Not much to write home about.
Didn't stick, but it actually came down a good amount today.
Yeah,
so
like a winter,
nice to see.
Yeah, it was fun looking out the window while I'm working and seeing that.
Yeah, but let's talk cruising. Let's
Maybe
get down
you
to the
go on
warmer
a
weather.
cruise.
Yeah,
Let's book a cruise.
let's do it. Now, we're going to start with the question of the week this week. I feel like we haven't done this in a while. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring a couple different things back today. Some question and answer at the end. So the question of the week is, speaking of new things coming in 2025, how many new cruise ships are launching this year?
We'll tell you at the end. It's a large amount. I mean, this is a big year in the cruising industry. A lot of people reach out to us and they're like, you guys really started this podcast at the right time because the industry truly is taking off. I mean, just record numbers. We're going to talk a lot about some of the things happening in the industry this year. But yeah, I mean, a lot of new ships, a lot of big investments. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later on as well. But Michael, we have some pretty big cruise news as of today. Today is Wednesday. We're recording this a week in advance. So this is the 19th. Today, Icon of the Seas, the third ship in the Icon class, was officially launched and available for sale. We have a Facebook group called Legend of the Seas, and we had predicted this a few months back, actually. I don't remember which episode we talked about it, Michael, but we were early on. We saw some things online that were trending towards Legend of the Seas. Pretty much knew that this was what was, they were going to bring back the old ship name, which is really cool. And we're just really excited to see what they announce. I mean, we don't know exactly everything that's going to be on the ship. I think that they're still going to test some things out with Star of the Seas and try to, do some new venues. They already kind of announced that the Empire Supper Club is going to be like a Hollywood theme, which I don't know what that means. Like when I think of New York, right, on Icon, I know like what the vibe is. And then obviously Chicago is a little bit more fuzzy, but then Hollywood, I'm just like so curious to see like what's the food going to be like what are the drinks going to be like? So really just kind of curious to see what that comes out to be in 2026. And they said they're going to really try to build upon a lot of the things that Icon, could be, some restaurants that didn't really work out the way that they thought, or maybe some redesigned spaces. So we'll kind of stay tuned on that. We'll keep you guys posted on how that pans out over the next year. And Star of the Seas is the next one coming this summer. We still don't know a lot about Star. I mean, we still don't know that much about Star. So I imagine in the next year or so we'll have more updates on Legend.
Yeah, and then so what we do know, the itineraries right now, it's starting in the Med, and then when it comes over here to the States, we'll be doing the Southern Caribbean. Which does Icon do any of the Southern Caribbean right now?
No. So Icon and Star are just going to do like the Eastern Western.
Okay.
And this is pretty epic because this is the first time an Icon class ship will be in the Mediterranean. So like when I looked today, it literally opened last night. I was texting you. I was like, dude, it's already booked. It's like, I mean, I was trying to get like a balcony in the Med next summer and it was like one option. I'm like, there's only one room left for this category. Like it was open 8 hours. So I think it's just showing there's just a lot of demand, or maybe they're holding back rooms, but nonetheless, it's going to be really cool. I mean, and I was thinking about this. I would honestly like prefer to do a Caribbean one on Legend just because it's such an awesome ship. Like to be in the Med, you're not really going to get to experience it's kind of like you on Wonder, right? Like you didn't get to experience all that the ship had to offer because you're out and about, which is great. The perk of being in the Med is that you're off the ship all the time. So it'd definitely be a different experience being on an amazing ship like Legend of the Seas.
All right, so like we said at the start, today we're talking all new things coming to the cruise industry this year, Frank. So we're going to talk about some of the different private destinations and islands coming this year, some of the different cruise ships that are going to be launching, and then some of the port renovations that the cruise lines are doing. Let's start private destinations. We've talked on the podcast how Perfect Day at Coco Cay was really kind of like the trendsetter for these new private destinations coming out. We saw Disney release their private island last year. Carnival is releasing Celebration Key this year. And right now, they just actually today released a video called Countdown to Celebration Key. And it was really the first time we've seen video footage of the construction going on the island. So Carnival's president, Christine Duffy, was out there on the island. They were showing her different parts of it. They had like a Celebration key that they like put in a sandcastle, And I mean, it's coming along. We're under 5 months to go now till
Wow.
Celebration Key opens. The Carnival Vista will be the first ship to stop there on July 19th. And I think there's still some questions behind the island, kind of how, we've talked about how there's going to be like food vouchers you're going to get to use at some places. There'll be free just like buffets overall. I'm interested to kind of just hear the feedback, kind of when these first couple ships start stopping there and kind of hearing the consumer feedback from it. I will say, from one of the videos, they were walking by like that massive pool area,
It's huge.
and you really start to see like how far down the island they were, and like that big sand castle right when you walk into the island with like the water slides and all that, how far away that actually was. So I think overall the island's going to be probably bigger than most people expect once you get on there. And I think that's a thing too with me and CocoCay. Like we've mentioned on the podcast, I've really only been to like 2 different places on the island. And I was watching a video, I think today or yesterday, of a guy right when you get off the ship going like immediately left, like that left side. And I've never I'm like, wow, just like the views of the ship from there too. I'm like, I've never seen that yet because there's just so much to do on these islands.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see, kind of like you said, Celebration Key is going to be awesome. We'll get you back to CocoCay, but we definitely need to look at Celebration Key and trying to get out there and like experience this, because it really is. I mean, I think I love the fact that they're starting with something, and the pool and all the things that are going to be on day one, but it just sounds like their plans for this island, even in the future, are just so epic. So especially if you're a family with, you have kids, young kids, this is really going to be an awesome spot for you in the next couple of years if you're booking a cruise.
And I think like we've seen with most Royal sailings too, most all of them stop at CocoCay at some point. Like you said, whether you're doing the Western or the Eastern, or I'm sure even some of these Southern sailings are going to hit Perfect Day on the way back or on the way there. Carnival obviously has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sailings already stopping here. So yeah, if you're looking to book a Carnival cruise, there's probably a big chance you're going to be stopping here at Celebration Key.
So the next one, in terms of the private destinations, actually like a little teaser. I didn't put this on our script, but Michael and I have like something kind of cool that we got asked to do this week. So hopefully something comes from it related to private destinations, and we can share it potentially with you guys. But just a little, we'll try to follow up with something in the next couple weeks if something gets published out of this. But no, so talking about Royals Beach Club, Paradise Island, right? So we've seen this off of the recent cruise that we were on Allure of the Seas, and we've seen a lot of photos of the work that's going on. They are planning to open Paradise Island in December, so right kind of at the end of this year. We were actually just chatting about trying to get down there and experience that. It's definitely going to be an upcharge. We know that passes go on sale this spring, so we will know more about the price, but we do know right now that this is an add-on. This is not going to be something at Nassau that everyone can do, but it will be something that I think several thousand people will be able to access per day in Nassau. Obviously, it will include Royal Caribbean as well as the celebrity brands, since they're both under Royal Caribbean Group. And it's going to be pools. There's going to have like a chill pool. They're going to have kind of like the adults pool, right, where you've got the DJ, kind of like hideaway, swim up bar. And then they're going to have kind of something in between, which is like kids and families can enjoy. Think of like Oasis Lagoon. They're going to have multiple beaches. All the food will be included. All the drinks will be included, which is what we were all hoping for, because it will be an upcharge. So honestly, on a 3-night cruise, you may not even need to get the drink package if you get off and do this. It just depends on what your CocoCay plan would be for that. So really cool to just kind of see what's to come. I mean, I've watched the video that Royal Caribbean released for Paradise Island, like the Royal Beach Club. I watched it like 100 times. I just kept letting it run and run and run because I was like, the piece of land that they bought right next to the pier, it's super cool. And the fact that you're going to be able to just hop on a boat and ride over there, it's like, I mean, it's like the best. It's obviously not as good as CocoCay where you just walk off, but pretty close.
I mean, I think it's crazy how much they're putting on the island, because you look at, I mean, it's pretty long, but it's not the thickest island, right? But kind of just seeing everything they're going to be putting on it is super cool. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you said it's opening in December, and obviously they've been doing a lot of like the utility work and like probably like getting all of that ready. But like you said, even when we were there last, there's still a lot of work to do. And even like the Celebration Key video, like obviously like the main pool and all that's in, and but like you just see all the construction still going on in the background of the video. Like, man, it's only 5 months away. Like, but it's just crazy how fast they can get these things done on these islands.
I know. I'm just praying that like come like maybe a couple of months from now, we actually get to buy some of these things like Paradise Island, like that we actually can see it for sale, because that's when I'll know it's real.
Yeah.
At this point, it just like to your point, it looks so far out that it just doesn't feel like, oh yeah, that's this year. But yeah, they're still saying it's this year. So fingers crossed that'll be done.
All right, Frank. So the last piece of news we have related to private destinations, Norwegian. What can you tell us about what work's going on over at Great Stirrup Cay?
Yeah, because I noticed this last time we were at Coco Cay. There's construction going on at Great Stirrup Cay. They're still running, I guess, ships to this private island. You can see it from Coco Cay, but they're building a new pier. So this is definitely going to be nicer. I feel like whenever we book clients on Norwegian, we're like, yeah, you have to take a you have to take a tender boat over to the island. So that's something that's just not as great. It just makes today feels a little longer, more of a hassle. So I think they're spending $150 million to build a pier for 2 ships, which will be able to be leveraged from all their other brands as well, kind of like Coco Cay with Celebrity. So pretty cool. This will be, again, done, I think, Q4 this year. So, between October and December. So we'll kind of keep you guys posted if we see anything else from here, or maybe if they're spending more money on other things. Everything we saw was just around the pier, so we'll keep you posted on that one as well.
I was about to say, I'm glad you followed up on that, because I remember when I was off that morning on the boardwalk area on Allure of the Seas, kind of just filming some videos of Coco Cay. I looked over to the left, and like you said, all this construction on the island, like, what is going on? But like you said, there were 2 ships sitting out there that they were tendering back and forth. So obviously, like you said, the island's still obviously open. But yeah, that's cool that they're opening this pier.
I know. That'll definitely put it kind of closer on the same playing field as some of the other ones. So, well, we aren't going to give the answer away on how many new ships are coming this year, Michael. But let's talk a little about new ships. There are a lot. I think we've got covered, 5 or 6 different cruise lines that we're going to talk about now in this segment of new cruise ships coming to us in 2025. I would definitely say this is a little bit of bias, but I really think it's probably not that biased. I think Icon was probably the ship of the year. If we were to give an award, I feel like Icon kind of blew a lot of people away. The pricing was crazy. It sold out. There were $75,000 suites on there. I think Legend, I read that there's a $100,000 suite for sale. I was like,
God,
that is crazy. But we'll be interested to see, does Star compete with that, or do some of these other ships that we have that we're going to talk about next kind of take that title for ship of the year for 2025? So, Michael, talk to us about what's coming new in the Carnival world.
Yeah, so Carnival this year, Frank, they're not launching, per se, new ships, no new builds, but they're moving 2 ships over from their P&O brand into the Carnival brand this year in Australia. So these are now going to be the Carnival Adventure and Encounter. So like I said, are 2 P&O ships that are sailing out in Australia right now.
And they'll continue to be sailing in Australia.
Yep, and in March of this year, they'll officially fall under the Carnival brand. So they're kind of calling this. Remember when Carnival released like the Venezia and the Frienzi? Yeah. They were like Carnival Italian style.
They went through like a lot of dry dock and like renovations to get it ready for Carnival, whereas these are going to be kind of like as is.
That's what it seems like, because on the website right now, when it says Carnival things coming to the ship, they're hiring like their Fun Squad staff that they're going to hire to the ship, probably new cruise directors and all that. They're different like theme nights and theme parties. And then lastly, this one was kind of odd. I guess pizza on the ship currently isn't free.
Okay.
So it's going to be free from 11 to 4 each day.
Okay.
Which is a little odd. But they're also keeping like some of the P&O kind of classics on the ship. So I guess P&O has a partnership with this guy Luke, and they have Luke's Bar and Grill and Luke's Burgers on the ship. The Bar and Grill is actually like a nice sit-down like restaurant in the evenings. And then they have kind of like their main dining room, Angelo's, you got the Dragon Lady Waterfront. All these are your included a la carte dining on the ship. Now, I got to say, I personally don't know much about P&O. We haven't really talked about them much on this podcast.
We had one episode. I think we had Ian and Claire on the podcast to talk about P&O. They did the Norway cruise.
Okay, yep, that's right. Now, these ships, they're a little different. One of the kind of cool things this ship has, they have what they call their Edge Adventure Park. And this is a mix of like ropes course, cargo nets, kind of walking the plank like some of the Carnival ships have on their standard ropes course. But it's odd.
It's like at the front of the ship, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, because like one of the things is like they call it like the Titanic
Yeah, you're, like,
experience, and you like
off the
pretty much
bow.
over the edge
Yeah.
of the ship. Like you're obviously harnessed in and everything, but it's not like your Carnival ropes course where you're kind of on the track above your head, kind of going through things. These are like individual little things you can either pay for individually or kind of get a pass for the length that you're sailing. But like they have like legit some zip lines that go across the upper decks, kind of like the one over the boardwalk on the Oasis class.
That's cool.
They have a tightrope walk thing that goes over one of their indoor pools. Like just super random. But so, I mean, I was intrigued. I went and watched kind of a walkthrough of this ship, and there is some other cooler things. They, like I was telling you before we sat down, they have like a speakeasy style bar
Yeah.
on this ship. But I think the kind of one of the key differences, kind of like you said, kind of bringing this Carnival experience into P&O. Some of their stuff kind of they do have upcharges for. Like there was like a show or two I think like you had to book tickets for that I think may have actually cost money, and just some things that aren't like normally in the Carnival brand. So I don't know. I'm interested to kind of hear how like I said, none of really like the Carnival additions. I feel like it's not going into dry dock at the end of the day. Pretty much in March you're going to be able to start booking on the Carnival website. Right now, if you want to book a sailing, it's still on the P&O website. But yes, like I said, no new ships, but kind of just adding new ships to the Carnival
Fleet
brand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I wonder what the business decision is behind that. If it's just like the lack of strength in the Australian market, and the strength of the Carnival brand worldwide now is just like kind of taken over in that specific area, and they're like, hey, the name recognition, people feel better about booking on Carnival, you know?
Because I'm pretty sure, I think the Carnival Luminosa has been sailing Australia. So I think it was, like you said, kind of brand recognition too at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It kind of also just adds ships to the Carnival fleet for the number of ships in the fleet too. So, yeah.
Well, that is awesome. I think it'll be cool to kind of see if they ever bring one of those ships on into our neck of the woods. That would be...
It'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be really cool just to try it. All right, so that's one cruise line that's adding a new ship this year. The second cruise line that is adding a ship this year is MSC. They're expanding their world class. They just completed their sea trials, and now they're kind of having their final preparations before this ship is delivered on March 27th. And
Yeah, it's coming up.
it looks amazing. We were actually talking to a friend this week about how the coffee shop is on the World Europa, and how it's one of the best, one of the coolest looking coffee shops in the fleet, and just some of the venues and just the beauty of the ship and activities and everything. So, I mean, if you've not tried MSC yet, this would be the ship that we'd recommend. And honestly, I've already booked. I had a client go on last December, for MSC Seascape, and now she's going on the World America next Christmas. And it was like, compared to any other cruise line, still very well priced. And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to try MSC, I think this is a good option to test the waters.
All right, the next cruise line. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, we've had Jeremy on many times, and he likes to sail Norwegian. And he's sailed the Prima class a good amount. I think the Prima is down there in Galveston, Texas, sailing from there. But Norwegian's launching in April their Norwegian Aqua. This is going to be their first Prima Plus class ship. And then the next year you have the Norwegian Luna coming out kind of in this same class. You know, I think one of the coolest features on this ship is their slide coaster.
Yeah.
We've talked about it when the news kind of first broke that they were adding this to the ship. But it kind of starts out like this launch mechanism that launches you kind of up the hill pretty much, and then it becomes like a water slide after that. And I think we've talked like how they're able to like change the speed of the launches and all that, so you can kind of like for kids have a little bit more mild ride, but for adults, man, blast me as fast as you can at the end of the day. But another ship that looks beautiful, you know, they said there's going to be like 50% more pool loungers on the ship. The Vibe Beach Club on the ship is going to be 40% larger than the Vibe Beach Club on the Prima. So overall, like I said, many great new additions to this ship. And I can't wait to hear about this slide coaster and what the reception is to it.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to hear. I mean, this is another one that people are always asking about. It's coming out in April, so that's so soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be excellent. Now, talking about Star of the Seas real quick, because I know we've already spent a lot of time on Royal. We have a lot more cruise lines to talk about. This one's coming out in August. They actually added 2 new sailings, so they added a couple of 4 nights because the ship was ready early. We've kind of talked about this one a bit on the podcast, but just as a high level, we know that they're going to have Back to the Future as the show.
Yep.
We know that they're kind of doing some things to the Surfside neighborhood to make it kind of an older crowd, right? Maybe adding some slides down there. They're changing out potentially the venue for Pier 7 to something else. I don't think it's been fully decided quite yet on what that venue will be as of today. But overall, they're going to be adding some new venues and changing it up. Obviously, they'll do the Empire Supper Club, will be Chicago themed, like we mentioned earlier, but it'll be running very similar itineraries, doing Eastern and Western Caribbean from Port Canaveral. But this is really cool. It actually is going to be stopping at Coco Cay first, which means when you go to St. Thomas, one of the most annoying things is that if you go far first and then come back, you're kind of rushing the St. Thomas day.
Okay.
But if you're going like Coco Cay is so close, then you go to St. Thomas, you actually get more time in St. Thomas. So for those that love St. Thomas and you're kind of between those, maybe you're used to getting that day cut short, Star of the Seas is a really good option for that. Michael, what's our next cruise line with a new ship coming this year?
All right, Frank, the next ship we have is the Brilliant Lady. This is going to be the 4th ship in the Lady fleet for Virgin. I think it's their last one in this class. Overall, it's going to be pretty similar to their other 3 ships so far. I'm kind of excited to see them eventually make a new class to see kind of what new experiences they bring.
I wonder if they'll go bigger too, because they are one of like some of the smaller
newer ships.
Yeah, newer ships across the mainstream line. So see if they'll come out with something a little bit bigger, or maybe they stay around the same size, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, so that ship starts sailing in September, and then in October we have the Star Princess coming out, which is going to be pretty similar to the Sun Princess. There may be some changes in some of the restaurants. I think I heard they're going to have a larger non-smoking casino on this ship. And then I still don't think they've announced what it's going to be yet, but that top deck where they had to remove some of that stuff from Sun Princess and it's kind of just empty right now, we're going to see what they're adding there. I don't think it's been announced yet in the deck plans or anything, but that ship's going to be coming out in October.
That's going to be awesome. I know we had some clients go on Sun Princess, and they absolutely loved it, and they're just itching to get back on a Princess ship. So for all of those that are out there that are Princess fans, maybe you've sailed Princess and you want to come on and talk about Princess, would love to have you on the podcast as well, because Jeremy was pretty much one of our only guests, I believe, that come on and talk about Princess. So if that's you, if you've sailed Princess, you want to come on, let us know. And then looking into November, December of this year, Disney has some new ships, Michael. They've got the Disney Destiny and they've got the Disney Adventure. I think we've talked about Disney Adventure a little bit on this podcast, right?
Yeah, a couple months ago for cruise news for the Disney Adventure, we were talking about some of the different rides they announced. They're going to be up on the top deck. So they're going to have their own version of like the Bolt roller coaster that Carnival has up top on one of the top decks, as well as some other smaller kids rides on here. But yeah, the Disney Adventure is going to be sailing from Singapore. Ship looks beautiful. Like I said, I think kind of like the main new attractions on this are those rides on the top. Whereas the Disney Destiny, this is going to be sailing out of Fort Lauderdale doing the Caribbean. This ship is cool because it's like heroes versus villains type
I like
thing.
That's cool.
So you have the Lion King as kind of the main dining room restaurant. You obviously have their Worlds of Marvel restaurant still. But then, like, some of the bars on the ship, we like a good drink. We have DeVille's, Cruella DeVille, piano bar type bar on the ship. They have the Haunted Mansion parlor on this ship. They have a Pirates of the Caribbean themed one.
That would be really cool.
So, and then even for live entertainment, if you like a good show, and even they have a Hercules show on this ship, they're going to have their Frozen musical. I mean, I cannot wait till the day to just experience a Disney ship.
I know.
I feel the vibe will be different for sure. Obviously, much more family and all that. But like we've mentioned, the theming on these ships just look beautiful. Like all these bars and restaurants and everything.
I mean, it just seems like they take Disney World, the best of like being in Disney World, to a cruise ship. I mean, I don't even know how else to describe it, whether it's the customer service on board, the really cool dining venues. Like, I mean, think about when we've been at Disney World and you feel like you're in a movie, right? As well as the bars and the restaurants and the rides, like the whole experience, the shows, right? Like I kind of heard that the shows are just next level. Like people don't even go to see the shows on some of the other ships we talked about earlier because Disney just outdoes it so by such a far mile. So yeah, that's going to be awesome. So we'll have to kind of stay tuned on those as well. And we'll let you guys know if we hear anything else on those two coming in December. Also coming in December this year, we've got the Celebrity Excel, which is going to be part of the Edge class. This is really cool. Now, they definitely have redesigned some spaces. They're going to have a larger rooftop garden, a redesigned Grand Plaza. But one of the coolest things that they just announced is the Bazaar, which is like this multi-level venue that's going to bring kind of like the shoreside experiences, like the culture, the dancing, the food, the music, to the passengers while they're on board the ship. So I don't know exactly. They haven't like said exactly what this will look like, but in a lot of the promotional videos, they kind of show like dancers and kind of some different food and even like cooking classes and some of that stuff. So really excited to kind of see, what this looks like and kind of what the feedback is from people as they get to experience this. Because it's going to be totally new on the Celebrity Xcel. So it's awesome.
And I think the cool thing just between all of these ships is, I mean, obviously, like we said, some of the ships are kind of just copies of some of the other ships that the lines have in their fleets, but some of these are multiple ships in a current class, but they are adding a bunch of new stuff to it, right? Whether you said it's the Bazaar on this Celebrity ship, or, I know the Aqua is a Prima Plus class ship now, but like changing some stuff up on that. Obviously, like you said, some venues on Star maybe or probably gonna change, but we just don't know what's changing yet. So yeah, I mean, customer feedback is still just as important in 2025 as it was 20 years ago. Kind of really just continue to add things on these ships that we want, right? They're experiences you want to experience while you're sailing and spending your vacation on these ships. Now, the last kind of updates we have here are upgrades that are being made at some of these departure ports, right? Last week we actually showed some drone footage a week or two ago that you filmed.
Michael, throw back in here again. Give it.
Here we go.
We had
play
the drone footage. I feel like we worked too hard to not show that 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, so as you see here, MSC just a couple weeks ago opened this new cruise terminal in Miami. I think this one, the one in Miami, is they're saying like the largest in the world, so much technology behind it. So like we said, MSC is really trying to make their presence known here in the States. They're also going to be working on their cruise port in Galveston, Texas. And then also, like we said, we're recording this on the, what's today? We said the 19th?
Yes.
The 19th. A couple of days ago on the 15th, MSC also just opened their new cruise terminal in Barcelona.
Dude.
And the guests that were departing the MSC Fantasia were the first ones to experience this new terminal. So, yeah, I mean, MSC kind of just working on all their terminals right now.
I think it is a big thing, and I'm glad that MSC is improving this because when you get to the port, that kicks off your vacation, right? So if you, let's say, you kick off your vacation, you're like in like a little bus terminal, you'll definitely not be as excited as, hey, I'm walking into this super elegant port. You kind of feel bougie. Maybe you'll spend a little money. Maybe you'll buy that drink package when you get on board, like Chris did on one of our last ones.
I'll tell you, my first cruise I ever did, it was out of Fort Lauderdale. It was on the Carnival Fascination, I think. The ship doesn't even exist anymore. But the experience was totally different. The ship was either delayed getting back. Like, we didn't get on the ship till like it was dark out. It was like past dinner time. They obviously refunded a lot of money for that first day. But this terminal there at the time, it was like a open warehouse type thing. And I don't know, like, who were we talking to? Jason last week, and he was saying like, like your first cruise will always kind of have that place in your heart. And this one still does for me too. But it like you said, you remember, isn't this new expensive terminal that we have now? But yeah, like I said, 10, 15 years ago, this was much different than what we have today. Now, Frank, what can you tell us about Norfolk, Virginia?
Yeah, so this is going to be where the Carnival Sunshine is sailing from.
Rip Charleston.
I know. We used to have cruises out of the Carolinas. Now you can actually stop in Charleston. It's still a
nice little day.
A port if you're going to be sailing from some of the Northeast cruise ports. But so they spent around $12 million to renovate this terminal. Yeah. They upgraded the ramp when you get off to make it wider and be able to accommodate more guests. They upgraded some of the seating inside. They kind of just gave it a little facelift, if you will. But what's really crazy about this is like they kind of talked about how big of a financial impact this will have for Norfolk. And it's actually crazy to think just like, it's a smaller kind of town in Virginia. Sorry, shout out to those that are from this area of Virginia, but it is going to drive a lot of revenue. It's a lot of new jobs. And it's just really cool to see that, there will be thousands of people traveling to Virginia now that probably weren't before to get on the Carnival Sunshine. So.
I think that was kind of like the pro and con, like Charleston was trying to weigh too, right? Having a ship there full time. But obviously Charleston, you have much more tourists going and visiting there pretty much year round at this point, even in the winter months. All right, so like we said at the top, we're hitting some question and answer this week too. We haven't done this in a while. We posted something on our story just saying, hey, send us questions, whether anything to do with the cruise industry, our personal cruise experiences. So make sure you're continuing to send these in. We love to do these really every week.
We got some fun ones. These were tough. So think about your way you'd say as your answer too, as you listen to us.
Yeah, so the first one is from Seeking Royal Adventures.
Shout out Seeking Royal Adventures. We actually met them on Symphony of the Seas. What was it, 2 years ago? So thank you guys for listening, supporting. We love you guys. Keep going.
The question is, besides beach clubs, so you're not doing Coco Cay, you're not going to Paradise Island, what other land activities would you like to see Royal invest in?
This is a great question. I think you have a really good answer. My answer for this one is, in terms of like outside of the beach, I think we want more private, like cultural experiences, like in places in the Caribbean, right? Like think about most of your cruises of the Royal Caribbean are in the Caribbean or the Mediterranean, but a lot of them are through third parties. It'd be cool to have almost like a white glove service where they walk you from your stateroom off the ship into like a private car. They take you to like their favorite restaurant. Almost think of like what the crew do. Like the crew do every time they visit those ports, but somewhat like of a land activity that's just really about where you are.
Okay.
Like just more private, because I feel like a lot of times with these big cruise lines, you get thrown into a group with like 14, but it's like, no, I've got 5 people. We want to do an excursion. Okay, you get to take your 5 people on a tour. You get to kind of customize your day maybe a couple weeks in advance, make sure you're aligned with your itinerary, and then you go on this adventure, Seeking Royal Adventures.
There you go.
There we go.
That's great. Mine is a little bit of a turn, thinking more just thrill kind of activity type thing. I went to school up in the Appalachian Mountains, up kind of near Boone, North Carolina. If you know anything about it, we have Tweetsie Railroad kind of right out, 10, 15 minutes from downtown Boone. But next to it, years back, they built this massive ropes course structure type thing.
It's never being used, ever.
I never see anybody on it either, no. But
you want them to take that.
We're going to take this big thing. We're going to throw it somewhere down there in the Caribbean. It's going to be some sort of ropes course. It's going to have all different kind of zip lines off of it. Just like, just a fun thing to...
I think we can help Royal with this. We'll take it down. We'll cut it down and ship it to the Caribbean, and we'll help them enhance it.
Yeah, like I said, I've never done it, but, we were talking ropes courses and some stuff on these other ships, and I don't know, it could just be another cool thing to go spend your day doing.
I love it. All right, Michael, so you're in charge. This is from Thomas. Shout out, Thomas. Thank you for the question.
Okay.
You're in charge of the next Coco Cay project or upgrade to the island. What would you do?
All right, I like this question, Thomas. Like I said, there's still a lot of Coco Cay I haven't experienced, but somewhere on this island, I don't know where on the island it's going to go. We've mentioned On the Rocks and how much I kind of like that bar area. We're going to make a new bar and new kind of restaurant experience. They're going to work side by side. It's going to be kind of more your craft cocktails, right? They're going to be some nicer cocktails, not just your typical Coco Loco and maybe Mai Tai. I mean, you're going to have some tropical ones, but you're going to have some, a little more sophistication. I don't know what the food's going to look like either yet. You just asked me this question, but the food's going to be different because right now you kind of got your snack shack and your buffets.
Your Mexican.
And Mexican.
Yeah.
So the snack shacks are all going to kind of the same overall. Maybe we're going to bring sushi to the island, Frank.
That is a great, Michael, that's probably the best answer you could have given.
How that's going to work with the drinks, I don't know, but just imagine having some
nice sushi rolls. It could be like an
rolls.
Asian, even like the drinks could be like kind of flared with like an Asian style cuisine. Come here, high five. That is awesome. All right, we'll send that in. Royal Caribbean, if you're listening, just give us like a little bit of credit for that idea because that is sweet. Thomas, will even include you too because you asked the question. No, that's tough. I mean, I don't think I could beat that. My answer was going to be to add a restaurant, but I think what's better than eating like a beautiful sushi or poke bowl, just fresh with some rice, maybe some soy sauce. You can dip it in, whatever.
I'm not letting you get out of this. You need a new answer, Frank.
All right, fine. All right, so this one's a bit funny, but I think there's 2 things I'm adding to the island and a new area, obviously maybe a new pool, but I'm adding 2 flow riders. You're going to have one that's constantly running the body surfing and then one that's a stand-up surfing. And then I'm adding hot tubs. I'm adding hot tubs to the
Oh,
island,
okay.
right? I think Royal Caribbean shied away from adding hot tubs because they were just concerned that who wants to be in a hot tub? But what better place to be in a hot tub than at the beach? I mean, I think that it's a great idea. Sometimes I'm in the pool, and it's warm, but I don't know. I still want to be in a hot tub. And maybe these would only be used half the year, but who cares? It's my idea, my upgrade. So that was fun. If you guys have more fun questions like this or even serious questions about your upcoming cruises, we'd love to answer them during this segment. Finally, Michael, before we wrap up for today, how many cruise ships are launching this year?
All right, so I think we talked 6, 7 of the different ships, maybe 8 of the ships that are coming out. Now, this is also kind of looking at luxury lines and some of the other kind of smaller lines around the globe. But I think we counted 15 new ships launching this year, which is a lot. Because if you told me to list 10 ships that came out last year, I don't think I could do it.
That is insane.
I don't even know if 10 came out last year.
Clearly, you guys can see it's a big year for cruising in 2025. And we're excited to be bringing you a lot of information. As we get more, we'll continue to update you throughout the year.
Well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. We really hope you enjoyed hearing about all the new things that are coming to the cruise industry in 2025. I'm sure there's probably a lot more too that we didn't get to today. But as always, if you're interested in booking your next cruise vacation, we'd love to help you with the process. Make sure to either fill out the JOT form in our bio or send us a text at 704-313-8556. And also, we haven't mentioned it in a while, but if you just got back from a cruise vacation, we're partnered with the Cruise Maps, and you can see it off your shoulder over here.
Yeah, right over here.
You can get a map of your cruise, framed.
I don't remember exactly how much this one costs, but you put in your exact itinerary, they print you out a beautiful map, ship it to your house. You can use our code CC15 if you want a cruise map like this one. 15% off. I still think this is the best deal that's out there. Really cool if you've gone on a honeymoon cruise, maybe you got married on a cruise, maybe you just went on a really awesome itinerary. It's the exact location from satellite data from your exact itinerary. So if the ship had to turn around or go back, make sure you get one. It's really, really cool. So check it out, thecruisemaps.com. CC15 is the discount code.
Well, we hope you have a great week, and we'll see you back here next Wednesday.